Once you've built something in Lovable, how do you go about publishing it? I've built this fun little Catan board generator and I want to share it so everyone has a chance to use it. Watch as I show you how to rebrand it so it reflects the style of any existing brand that you might have. And then I will, on the video itself, publish it or try to publish it to a domain I have. So let's hope nothing goes wrong. I've not really done this before, but I thought let's do a little bit of the actual build in public and try to actually go a bit in public on the video itself. I guess if it does go wrong, I can edit it or whatever, but we'll see. So hi, I'm Jason. I'm a 45-year-old dad of two. I'm aiming to publish an app a week. First, I've done this Catan generator. It's ready to go. I think, I'm happy with it. I could just leave it as it is. I've got an app, and not all of my apps are shipped, but I want to ship at least some of them. And let's ship this one. So, first of all, let's just take a look at the app. We can adjust it. We can the idea is you can set the number of 6 and 8 tokens here to be what you want. That was something I didn't find on other apps. You could say, well, I want one on wood, one on brick, for example, one on sheep, and one on wheat. So you could do that. Obviously, there's more flexibility there, but that's just an example. And then it will generate it and it will generate that. You can say, well, I don't want to allow identical tiles to touch. Okay, great. So you just got some options that we like to get to do a balanced board. That's just us. Everyone will have a different way of playing Catan. And we quite like this. So this is what we wanted, the sort of map generator we wanted when we were playing Catan. So great to have it. Now, as you can see, it's actually running on my local computer here. So I can run it in Lovable as well, but I want to run it on a domain. I actually have a board games website of my own. I haven't really updated it in a while, but it's there. It's sitting there. In theory, it earns a small amount of affiliate commissions, but not a lot now these days. And yeah, so I may as well publish it to this website. Now, in order to do that, what I would like to do is actually rebrand this to suit the style of the website. So it's just more in that style. And then probably publish it to a subdomain just to keep it simple, to a subdomain of the website. This website is written on WordPress. I don't want to complicate things, but with subdomains, you can avoid that complexity. Cool. So what did I do? Well, I went to ChatGPT to help me with the prompt. I find ChatGPT is fantastic for having literally like these chats about what you want and trying to work it out. And you'll see in a minute that actually this really helped me because I didn't even know exactly what I wanted until I had this. So I gave it a prompt. And in the prompt, a couple of important things that I said is I was explicit what I wanted. I wanted a prompt to give Lovable. So if you're not explicit, it might confuse things. And I also said, don't produce a prompt straight away. Keep asking me questions one at a time until you're at least 95% sure you understand what I want. Now, I like this way of doing things. If you just say, ask me questions, sometimes I ask a whole lot of questions. I really prefer this way of doing things where you're getting sort of a question at a time and it just helps you work out, it's in a minute, but it helps me at least work out what it is I actually want to do, even more than anything else. It also lets ChatGPT know what I want. Okay, so first ask about the brand assets and so on. So yeah, I do have access to those, so that's cool. So I gave those to it. What subdomain? Okay, cool. It actually suggested one. I hadn't given a huge amount of thought to that, but that makes sense. Good idea, really. Okay, and it's also pulled some sort of things from this. It said it did. Let's see if it did. Check the website. So it's actually checked the website and pulled the assets that maybe I hadn't supplied or wasn't as clear on. And then ask for the section. Do you want to replicate that exact thing on here? Do you want to replicate, so the exact header? Let's see if we can show it like here. So we've got this header at the top here, home, about, board games, and we've got sort of the footer. So do you want to replicate that exactly, it's saying? And actually, I don't want to do it exactly. So I said do as much as possible, but take the 80-20 approach. And it really does take that. It applies that actually in the prompt and is clear about that. And I think that's useful because these things could change. If I change the website later, some of this structure could change. It doesn't have to be exact, but I just want to try and get the style. And then it was a bit more explicit. And I thought this was helpful for games. I hadn't really thought about it. It's like, do you want the exact header with the items, so the home and so on? So what I've got here So we got home, we got board games, we got that. Do you want that actual thing, or a simplified header with just the logo? And I thought actually the simplified header is probably going to be better because I could change this header in the future. So like, what's the point in having something else you have to update? It's too complicated. Okay, so it came up with a prompt. Now, one thing I do is when I get a prompt like this, is I will then just click here and chat with ChatGPT. I didn't actually really need to ask it to make any changes. I made some changes myself, and you can do that in Canvas. You can change it yourself a little bit. So I did do some small changes, but I think the important thing is you need to own this. So like I saw this and I thought what it had done a little bit was almost some of the prompt was almost gearing towards building a new app, and that's not what I wanted. I already had an app and I wanted to rebrand it. So I was just sort of editing it a little bit to try and avoid that. But there wasn't that much of that, so I just thought it'd be easy to do that bit myself. But you have to own that. You have to be comfortable with that, because here you're, for example, telling Lovable the exact file structure, and I didn't want to do that. Lovable already has a file structure. I don't want it to necessarily change it if that's what's working. I didn't see the need to do that, so it seemed much more sensible to delete this bit instead of trying to force it into a file structure that ChatGPT's come up with. Okay, so then I take the prompt and I paste it into Lovable. In Lovable, it does all of that. It does an absolutely amazing job. And then, yeah, I did do a little bit. I wasn't quite happy with it, so I got it to refactor a little bit. And then I was just playing around with the code myself, and honestly, just playing around with some of this. It was fine. I didn't need to do that, but there was a couple of things I just didn't quite like, some spacing on it. So I just played around myself to improve that and get it to where I was happy with. So I love this. It really is sort of looking like the board, cards, dice piece. Some small differences perhaps, but it's pretty close to it. And it's just got that star. So it feels like you're still on the website. But also it's not sort of necessarily, you're not on the website, you're actually on a different website, but it feels like you're still on the website. So it's the same sort of experience. So I think that's important. Okay, so now it's time to publish. I'm a bit new to this, so let's see how it goes. I've not done it this way before. So publish. Okay, so I need to do custom domains. Okay, so we want to connect to domain. Connected domain you already own. So that will be connected domain. Okay. Use your domain with Lovable. I have to say, one of the things I've always had when I've tried to build apps myself, but actually before vibe coding really was around, is deployment can be a real pain sometimes. And I think Lovable, if it can solve that and make it easy to deploy, no kidding, because it's one of those things that you don't think is going to be as big a pain as it can actually turn out to be. And honestly, you might think you've got an app, and then to actually deploy it and actually get it live, it can be a lot harder than you might think. So let's see if Lovable helps with that. Okay, so what do I want to connect to? I want to use a subdomain. So what I want to do is we say Catan boards cards dice.com. Let's see. Analyzing. Okay, it's detected my DNS provider is Cloudflare. I've got my Cloudflare open and ready. Is it actually, I thought I was going to have to manually add in Cloudflare stuff and manually add settings, which isn't even that painful in terms of deployment, but it looks like I might not even have to do that. Let's go to that. Go to our manual setup. So that is an option. Or forward login to someone else. So someone else has access to the DNS. They could then authorize Cloudflare to do that. That's an interesting option. Okay, well, let's just do it the easy way and see if it works. Authorize with Cloudflare. Okay, so it's actually adding this thing that I was going to have to do, thought I was going to have to do myself, and add the DNS record, which honestly is not that painful in terms of deployment, but I just thought I assumed I'd have to do that myself. It's doing it for me. It's presumably via an API or something. It's actually adding what I need in terms of DNS record. That's fantastic. Less that can go wrong. Okay, let's see. Done. It's configured. It can't be that easy. Might take a few minutes to propagate. It really can't be that easy. Nah. Okay. Okay, well, it's actually saying it'll take a few minutes to propagate, so I might pause the video here and we'll see. Okay, I waited a few minutes. This has gone like this. I actually clicked the refresh just to check and it went sort of non-grey and flashing, so it looks like it's ready to go. So let's try it out. Wow. Wow, let's see, does it work? Wow, it's fantastic. Got my app. And then if I want to go back to the website, oh, this is great. It's fantastic. This is just like a great way to get people to come to my website. Might actually revive it a little bit, sort of spark my interest in a bit more. Maybe I could build more apps for it. So two things maybe. One, just really iterating how easy it is to deploy now with Lovable. I guess, well, it must be sitting on Lovable servers. So I guess there's some limit. Don't imagine I could have millions of people trying to use the app. But if that happens, that's fine. I'll deploy it somewhere else. That's a good problem to have. What this does is it gives me an MVP very quickly and very easily. So if I'm the app a week dad, want to ship apps quickly, this lets me do it. I can ship an app, get it out there quickly. If there's a lot of interest in it, then I can figure out probably fairly easily a way of deploying it myself. It might be a bit of a pain, but I'm sure I'll figure that out. And if not, you can just sit there on Lovable server. Fantastic. Second point is, what would you like to see more of these apps? What would you like to see? Particularly, it'd be very interesting to do some more board game type apps in Lovable. I can't believe really how easy this was. There was a few little pain points along the way that I sort of had to figure things out, but I think I could do it even more easily now. I'm talking about the whole app build process now. I think I could do that even more easily. So what would you like to see? Let me know. Yeah, I think I meant to say subscribe. Yes, please subscribe and like, and also comment about what you'd like to see.